Hey, gang. Glad you're here again this week. Today, we're going to go all about um, like your environment, like the environment around you, the environment that you live in, the environment that you operate in. Um, Before we do it, though, I do want to go back. We did it last week, and at the end, I gave them to you one at a time, and I had like my top 10 list for basically work, right? How to become a linchpin, how to become invaluable at work. And honestly, the same 10 things, like they almost apply universally at home. They almost apply universally in school, or really like any group you're in, a team you're on, a sport that you play, a group in school, like whatever it is, it's almost the same. And what I've learned as I was thinking about it this last week was, man, I was like, Cody, I use these 10 principles everywhere. And of course, the play on words was I said, here's top 10 and gave you 11, which was just like my cheesy way of going a little bit extra and like going the extra mile, right? There's all kinds of funny sayings that you'll hear throughout life, like there's never a traffic jam or there's never traffic on the extra mile freeway. You'll hear things like it's never cluttered at the top because no one's willing to go that far. You'll hear things like that. I don't know that I believe a lot of it. I don't know that it's all true. I do know this. I do know doing more than expected of me has always paid back. Doing more than I have to do has always paid back. And being willing to being willing to not do the minimum pays back in habit. And so when I think about how I'm going to perform at something, I'll quite often think, what are the expectations of the organization, expectations of the company, expectations of the team, of the group, my environment, whatever. But then I'll always think, what are my expectations of myself? If the team, company, group, or facility or business that's hiring me to speak, maybe, if their expectations are here, I promise you my expectations for myself are higher. If I'm playing a sport as an athlete or competing in something athletic, if the minimums are here, I don't want to play at a minimum level. I want to play here. And this is just habitual. This is just what you get used to. And if you get used to always doing extra, if you get used to always going a little bit further, you'll always go a little bit further in life. And you'll be known as the person that always goes above and beyond. You'll be known as the person who always can be counted on. So here's those top 10 again, because we covered them one by one, and then I gave them to you at the end really fast. I want to make sure that you get them though. So you can write these down. Number one, be on time. Like be impeccable with your timing. And you know what? Life shows up. If you're going to be late, say something. If you're going to be late, say it before you get there. But be on time. And by the way, you get to control it. If there's traffic, like if you're driving somewhere and there's traffic or there might be traffic, leave in time in case there is. And if you get somewhere early, then you have time to work on something else. But there's really like there's just no excuse, unless you get hit by somebody else or something dumb. Like just be on time. Just make it your personal, like your personal not ability, but your standards of work. Your personal standard is that you are on time. You just are. You're on time. And I like the idea of being 10 or 15 minutes early. Like, people say like Vince Lombardi, big football coach from the 1950s and 60s, used to say, if you're, on time is 15 minutes early. I don't know that I subscribe to that. I certainly don't show up places 15 minutes early. But I've learned to be there 6 or 7 minutes early or 8 minutes early. So you'll hear a lot of things throughout life that are truthy. They're kind of true, but they're not the only truth. Like I'll say 15 minutes early is on time, but if you were to be like, I don't want to lie to you. Like if you lived in my world and you drove around with me or you came to all my appointments with me, I'm not 15 minutes early to everything. Sometimes that's stupid. But I am on time. Like I work hard at that. And if I'm going to be late, I say something early. All right. Number two, no personal stuff at work. And one thing to relate this to would be to be appropriate in the moment. Like if you're at work, be fully at work. It's kind of like school, right? If you're doing your schoolwork, it's really hard to be doing homework and at the same time be doing 3 other things. It's hard to watch your favorite movie and be doing homework. It's hard to be doing your favorite sport and be doing homework. It's hard to be playing your favorite game. You get my point. Be appropriate in the moment, like give it full attention. If you're hanging out with the family, but you're playing on your phone, you have no idea what's going on. Just be appropriate in the moment. Like if that's where you're supposed to be there. 3 was hustle. And that just meant hustle. Like you just moved quick. And I told you the story about the gas station attendant, the kid who worked at the gas station, who was running from car to car, and that I told him he was going to own the gas station someday. Just hustle. Like you're always moving. Like you're the person who's always getting it done quick. Never complain. Like this works so solid at work, but it works so solid everywhere else. Like just don't complain. Like you've been told your whole life by your parents, no complaining, don't complain. Just don't complain. Just don't. That doesn't mean that you can't offer a suggestion to make things better. And there's a balance in there, right? But you know what I mean by complaining. You know what I mean? If like for me, my standard is if I don't have a solution, I'm not bringing the complaint. If I don't have an idea to make it better, I'm not bringing the complaint. And that is a golden rule that you could live your whole life by. That if you don't have a solution or if you don't have an idea to make it better, just don't lodge the complaint. As an employer, as a boss, I tell my employees, I tell my company, don't bring me a problem without a solution. I'm okay with there being problems. My companies have problems all over them. But if you bring me a problem, bring a solution at the same time. It doesn't even have to be a good solution. Just needs to be a solution. Just needs to be a viable option. We might not use it, but it teaches people to only think, what could I do to change it? Not just what do I dislike about it? And so when you think about things in your home life that you don't love, like the person or people that you might complain to are almost always like mom and dad or caretakers or like adults or whatever, right? You might surprise them by how many solutions you come up with. Instead of just saying, hey, I don't like this or I don't like that, you could say, well, here's another, right? You will be blown away by the type of response you get from people. After no complaining is giving ideas. And they go hand in hand, like always coming with an idea, always being the person who's thinking up ideas. And the thing is, what squashes people having great ideas is the thought process that every idea has to work. If you lived in my brain for a little while, you would realize how many crazy ideas that I have that go literally nowhere. How many things I've written out that we haven't ever done. How many things I've thought of that go nowhere. How many things we work on and then put it aside or shelve it or fail at it and say, well, all right, well, that didn't work or bad timing or it wasn't important or it ended up being something that we didn't work on right then. But the idea that every idea, the thought that every idea needs to be amazing, that every idea needs to be a home run, that will keep you from having ideas. I need you to loosen that tap. I need you to open that full wide bore and just think like, all right, how many ideas can I come up with? And one practice that I've used for years, I don't do it anymore, but I did it for a long time. Like when I was training myself to think in terms of ideas, is I would sit down with a piece of paper and a pen, and I would just write all the ideas I can, all the crazy ideas, things that wouldn't even happen. But the thing is, we think about things that wouldn't happen until someday you wake up and somebody else is doing what you thought couldn't be done. You wake up and realize that somebody else is working on putting people into space, like for vacation or for travel. And somebody probably thought of that long before Elon Musk did. But Elon Musk was the one who said, all right, I'm going to go see if we can actually make it happen. And whether it works or doesn't work, whether it happens or doesn't happen isn't relevant. For somebody like that, the chase of it is what's relevant. And who knows, maybe it's the next person that comes along, the next woman or the next man who comes along who takes an idea that got close and then gets it over the finish line. I just want you to be in the idea of coming up with ideas. I want you to be in the space, like the habit of thinking. All right. Cover for peers. You're always the person who's helping out the people around you, even when they don't deserve it. A great teammate never leaves somebody behind. A great teammate never leaves somebody hanging with something. They always help. And you know what? Like, let's say that you're rescuing an employee at work. This was one of the questions that came in afterwards last week. Maybe you're helping somebody at work who shouldn't be helped, or like you're making them look better than they should and they don't get fired. You know what? Here's what I've learned about people. What people deserve always shows up sooner or later. So maybe by you helping them, they keep their job for 2 more days or 2 more weeks or 2 more months. Who cares? Trust me. You are never going to go backwards by helping somebody up. You're never going to fall down by helping somebody forward. Don't worry about them and their journey. Your journey is that you never let people around you fail if you can help it. You don't just watch them crash and burn, man. You jump in there and help them. And you're going to become the person who's always helping people. And you're always going to get yours in the end. You're always going to win from that. And the speed at which they lose, that's none of your business anyway. So don't worry about it. This is your journey, not theirs. All right. Next was leave it better. Everything you touch, you leave it better. And this was one of the things I thought of when I was thinking about how this applies to so many more things in my world than just work. Leave it better. Like if you go somewhere, you leave it better. You know what would blow away your parents, right? Like if you want to impress your parents, the next time and by the way, I don't mean just your parents. I mean, the next date that you go on, if you're at the dating age, or a future spouse, or a future boss who takes you out for lunch, or anybody that you're with, you're at a restaurant, and when you're done eating, this is just a little thing. I've done it for years. When you're done eating and everything is paid and it's time to go, you put all the chairs back under the table. And if you watch, almost nobody does this. Almost no one does it. They'll get up, they'll leave their chair pushed away from the table. Now, your parents probably nag at you. They're like, put your chairs back under the table, right? At a restaurant, no one tells you to do it because somebody else is paid to do it. But it shows you that you care about things you don't have to care about. It's kind of like taking the plates at the table and stacking them on each other so that when the waiter or waitress or busboy or busgirl or whoever comes to get them, their job's a little easier. Trust me on this. And you might not get paid directly to that, but you are paid in life directly in proportion to the value that you give. And people are always watching. It's kind of like making eye contact when you talk to somebody. Trust me on this one. You just do things you don't have to do. You leave it better than you found it. You will never go backwards doing this. All right, do one extra. We talked about this. If you're supposed to do 10, you find a way to do 11. If you're supposed to do 15 push-ups, you do 16. If you got to run 10 miles, you run 10 miles and 10 steps, right? Like you just go extra. And you're training yourself to always think, I go extra. All right, dress for success. We talked about always dressing a little bit better than you have to, right? And to me, that sounds like, just like it does everywhere else in my life, if this is the standard, I don't want to meet standard. I want to come in above standard. I don't want a standard life. I don't want standard friends. I don't want standard relationships. I don't want a standard wife someday or a standard family. I don't want to go on standard vacations. I for sure don't want a standard income. Man, I want great, which means I got to show up as great because you're going to get what you give. And all of that works like an energy. It all works like a mirror to your energy. It's like a magnet to what you put out. I've never once thought going somewhere, oh man, I should have dressed worse. You know what I mean? Like be appropriate. You're not going to wear a tuxedo or a ball gown, to a friend's house. Like you're not going to do that. Like, you know what I mean? But when you look good, you've got that one t-shirt in the drawer that you always love. Like if you want to wear your best t-shirt, the one that you look the best in, you feel the best in, it's the most comfortable. You know the stuff you reach for. Even at 10 years old or 12 years old, like we have our favorite stuff because we feel good in it. And it's interesting that when you feel good in stuff, you perform better, you act better, you got a better attitude, you do better. All right. Be polite and clear. I talked about using incredible, impeccable manners. Like you want people to go, wow, man, she's got great manners. He's got great manners. And trust me on this, if you take nothing from anything I've said in any of these webinars or what you might hear in any of these, if you'll take that, if you'll be known as the person who's nicer than they need to be, if you'll be known as the person who has better manners than what's mandatory or expected, you can go almost anywhere you want in life. People love people like that. All right, the last one was staying late. If you got to work till 5, you leave at 5:05. And I made the comment, I said, if you work till 5 and you're walking out the front door of the business at 5, that means you really quit at 4:45 to go get your jacket, clock out, clean out your locker, like whatever it is, right? Clean up your workstation. Nah, you give everything they paid you for. And if you were paid till 5, you work till 5. And then cleaning up your workstation, grabbing your jacket, clocking out, that kind of stuff, that's on you. That's your time. This won't matter a lot until you look back one day and you realize it's mattered the most. You always give. You always give. All right. So good. All right. So this goes hand in hand with that when we think about environments, like environments that matter, like the environment that you work in, the environment that you spend time in, the environment that you saturate yourself with. The first one starts in the mind. How you talk to yourself, that environment, the environment of which your thoughts, the environment of which the way you speak to yourself. And I'd invite you to go back to, I think it was episode 2, where we talked deep about positive affirmations. And one of the things I talked about was positive affirmations are saying things to yourself that are positive, that are moving you forward. And like for a recap of it, they're personal. So they're always about yourself. They're in the first person. It's like, I am this. It's not you are great talking to yourself. It's like, I am great. Like you own it. You go, I am good at this sport. Instead of saying, Cody, you're good at this sport, you would say, I am good at this. You own it. First person. Powerful. Like as long as you're going to say them, they might as well be powerful. Positive. Like you would never purposefully say negative things about yourself, but we all do it. Like we do it almost as a slip up, right? Like we do something that we shouldn't and we go, oh, that's so stupid. I always do that. Well, that's an affirmation. That's constantly telling the brain, like there's a part of your brain, and I don't want to go too deep on this, but there's a part of your brain way back here in the back that's constantly listening to everything that you're saying. And that part of the brain doesn't know the difference between truth and fiction, doesn't know the difference between reality and a lie, which means if you say I'm great at it, your brain begins to believe you're great at it. And if you believe you're great at it, you'll eventually become great at it, or you'll become greater than you ever would have otherwise. Like we all have some limits. We all have some things that we just can or cannot naturally do. Like I made the comment, I said, when I was talking about affirmations in episode 2, I said, I'm 5'11". So I'm an inch short of 6 foot. And I said, I will probably never be able to dunk a basketball. 5'11" usually doesn't dunk a basketball. However, there are some guys that are and gals who are 5'4" or 5'5" who have found a way to jump that high. That is crazy athleticism that even if I could do it, it's not important enough to me to put the time and effort into it. Does that make sense? Whereas if I was 6'4" or 6'5", if I was 5 or 6 inches taller, dunking a basketball would be quite easy. I could do it in 10 or 15 minutes and learn how. And so that's what I mean by we always have some type of limitation. But because I don't know where my limits are, I don't spend very much time thinking about them. And here's what I've learned. If I truly care about it, I don't know that I have very many limits. I think almost anything could be overcome if you care enough about it. But you have to realize you're going to have to trade something for it. Like if you care about it and you really care about it, like not just for a day, not just for a week. I mean, like it's been months or years, and this is what you care about, that's called passion. And there's no overcoming passion. Like you will find a way, you'll make one or you'll find one, or something will happen, or you'll simply find a different passion while you're chasing the one that you thought was important to you. There's all kinds of things in my life that I've chased that were passionate to me or that I cared about really a lot that I never accomplished, because on that journey, something happened and I was exposed to something that I went, whoa, I had no idea. And my passion pathway moved. That's okay. I don't think you lose by chasing your passions. Even when there's a left turn or a right turn that you weren't expecting, if you're chasing your passions, you're going to eventually be in the right place at the right time. And there's a saying that I live by, and I'd love for you to write it down. And I say, be in the place for good things to happen. Be in the way of good things happening. It's like you put yourself in the way, like your dog at home, like my dog Ruby, like she'll come and stand in the hallway, like she knows I'm going to walk down that hallway, which means I have to see her. She knows I'm going to pet her. She will put herself in the way of something good to happen. And that's a dog, and all she cares about is being petted, being let out, and being fed. But a human being is the same. Put yourself in the way of good things to happen. What you tell yourself matters the most, how you talk to yourself. And I wish, like when we think about environment, the environment of my mind matters the most to me. And I want you to think about your mind being kind of like a farm, like land. And if you were to plant grass, grass would grow. If you were to plant corn, corn would grow. If you were to plant lettuce, lettuce would grow. If you planted apples, you get my point. Like, it's amazing soil. Anything that you plant there is going to grow. So you might as well plant something that tastes good. You might as well plant something you want to eat. I don't think you want to eat grass forever. You might as well plant fruit. You might as well plant something delicious. You might as well plant something that will feed you. Your mind looks the same. Your mind is like soil, and the soil will never tell the farmer, whoa, hey, don't plant that here. Soil can't talk. Your brain can't talk either. Your brain is either a tool that's using you or a tool that you're using. And so treat it like a soil and treat it like a farmer, and you plant seeds in it. Then you water those seeds. Just like you wouldn't plant a seed in the backyard and walk out the next day and expect there to be an apple tree or an orchard. You would never think that. You'd go, nah, Cody, it doesn't work that way, my man. Like, you got to plant it, take care of it, feed it, water it, make sure it's got sunlight. You got to do all these things and then give it time. And then you'll have an orchard. Well, your brain looks the same way. You got to do all those things and give it time and keep doing it. You can't just stop watering it one day and go, all right, well, the heck with it. Here's what I do to control the environment in my mind. I do 3 things, and I want you to write them down. Number 1, I'm constantly saying affirmations to myself. At this point in my life, I don't say them out loud as much. They're internal, but I said them out loud for a really, really long time. And when I'm battling something personally, or I'm at a tough spot in my life, I can tell because I revert back naturally to saying them out loud again. And that's one of my telltale signs of when I'm stressed. That's one of my telltale signs to myself when things are hard for me, because I'll just naturally regress almost to saying them out loud. And I'll say things like, I'm powerful. I'll say things like, I always get the job done. I'll say things like, I'm going to nail this presentation. And I'm like, whoa, I don't say these things out loud anymore. I think them, but I don't say them all the time. But when I'm under stress, I go back to what's there. And what I want you to see is that's called training. It's called muscle memory. Just like an athlete, there's an old saying that an amateur practices something till they get it right, but a professional practices something till they can't get it wrong. And if you could hold that, and if you could believe that for the rest of your life, then you get to choose, do I want to be an amateur or a professional? A professional learns how to do it only so they know how to practice correctly. I mean, you think about like sports, right? Like, you think about spring training for baseball. Like, I don't know if you like baseball or not. I don't really care for baseball, but you think about spring training, those athletes who play baseball, they show up every spring for spring training. They've been playing baseball for 20 years. They've been playing baseball at the highest possible level since they were a little tyke or a little tychus and played t-ball. For heaven's sakes, they know how to play the game, but they still got to show up to spring training, because the professional, for the pro, learning's never out. School's never out of session. The pro says, I got to learn more. I got to know what I already know at a deeper level. I've got to know it so well that it's ingrained in me that I couldn't mess it up even if I tried. I couldn't do it wrong even if I tried. And so that's what I mean by affirmations for me. The second thing that I do is this. I write them everywhere. Everywhere. Like, I've got Post-it notes all over my house, and I shared this with you. One of the easiest ways to hack your environment is to write Post-it notes. One of the easiest ways to hack the affirmations is to write the notes. Like, put one in front of your dresser drawer, put one in front of the mirror, put one on the mirror, put one on the dashboard of your car. I've got one on the dashboard of my car that's been there for years. And it says, and it's in one of my cars, it says, you can do anything. The flip side to that, which isn't written on that card, is this. And if you're taking notes, I want you to write this down. One of the wealthiest people I know said, Cody, this is probably 12 or 13 years ago, said, hey, you can do anything, but you can't do everything. You got to choose. Like, you probably can't play every single sport at some level. You probably can't read every single book at some level. You probably can't go to every cool vacation spot at some level. Now, if you're watching this, you're in the teen and young adult webinars, you're young enough, man, I would tell you that you can do anything. You could do all of them. Knowing that that's not the truth, but knowing that it's the truth applicable to the age. at 14, 16, 21. You can do them all. Do them all. Because when you do them all, you're going to figure out the ones you love. You're going to stop doing the ones you don't love real fast. The ones that you don't have a passion for, you're like, I don't really want to do that. Like you might play one season out of sport and go, yeah, I don't want to do it anymore. You might run cross country for a season and go, yeah, it's not my thing. That's okay. I would tell you to go do it. I would tell you the more experience you can rack up, the better, because that's never going to hurt you in life. But the older you get, you're going to have to start choosing. And even in high school, like if you wanted to play really, really, really good at a sport, you're going to have a coach or a parent that says, hey, you've been doing these 5 or 6 things. I need you to do one. Like you really care about music. I need you to pick band. You really care about music. I need you to pick your piano lessons. Like this needs to be an overwhelming amount of time that you put into this. But until you get to that point, just do it all. I don't think you can go wrong with that. But there'll come a day when you can't. And that's okay. So at your age, I would say you can probably do it all. But that's where like I'll use these notes and I'll hack my own ability for motivation. I'll hack my own ability for, because if I forget, like if I don't say my affirmations, if I don't say them right or don't say them enough, or quite frankly, if I'm having a really bad day, I don't want to stop and say my affirmations. I'm almost enjoying myself, like in a weird way. I'm almost enjoying being in a bad mood. I don't know if you ever feel that way, but I do. I'm almost like enjoying it, like ruining everybody else's day around me is somehow like interesting to me. I don't know why. I don't know why human beings are this way. And I don't know that all humans are, but I know that I can be that way. So maybe you can too. But having these notes everywhere hacks my environment, because that environment begins to pull me away from it. Even when I think I'm not paying attention, it's always there. I'm paying attention. Number 3, the easiest way to hack your environment and deal with your environment is called the 3-foot rule. Think about your arms, right? Like you think about, you reach out, you can go about 3 feet on both sides, right? About a 6 foot, like for me, 6 foot wingspan. You can go about 3 feet on either side, all around you. The 3-foot rule was taught to me like this. Anything you allow in your 3-foot rule, anything that close to you is going to dictate what your future looks like. Now, don't hold me to the math of the 3 feet, because I don't think that's what matters here. By the way, we've all learned really well how far 6 feet is in the last year. Like we all know instinctively, that's not 6 feet, back up. Like we all know it, right? So don't hold me to the 3-foot thing. But hear me out. Anybody you allow that close to you is going to rub off on you. Their habits, their thoughts, what they think is right, what they think is wrong. Like you've heard the saying, show me your friends and I'll show you your future. You show me your 3 or 4 closest friends, you won't be the richest of your 3 or 4 closest friends someday. You'll be the average of your 3 or 4 closest friends. You might be the richest today. That's your parents. That's not you. By the way, you might be the poorest today. That's not you. That's your parents also. That's okay. It is what it is. But you will become the average of the people that you're hanging around, which is why I'm constantly leveling up. I'm constantly thinking, who do I need close to me? Who do I want in my 3-foot rule that's going to push me? So it's like going to the gym. If I go to the gym with somebody who doesn't work out very much, they're in my 3-foot rule. They're right next to me, right? Like working out together. If they don't work out very much, they're probably not going to push me. I'm not going to watch them and go, oh, look at how she's lifting. I'm going to do it like that. She never stops. I'm never going to stop. I'm probably not going to think that way. I'm probably going to encourage them more than they'll encourage me. But if I work out with somebody who works out stronger than me or gives more effort than me, and I'll go out and I'll find people like this, they're the ones I want to work out with. They're the ones that I seek out. Those are the ones that I hire as trainers, because when I watch them, I get better. When I watch them, I want to do, you already know what I'm talking about. Even a video game. If you're playing a video game with someone who's not very good, you don't get better. You get dumber. You get worse at that game because they're not very good. You're not being pushed. But when you get a friend that comes over and they're amazing at it, you're watching, you're like, whoa, how do you do that? Like, whoa, show me that. And you level up. That 3-foot rule, what you allow in it, the positivity, the negativity, the good, the bad, the good habits, the bad habits. I want you to think about that 3-foot rule. By the way, let me give you this one. Probably the biggest one for you, and definitely the biggest one for me, is about 3 feet away from me is my phone at any given time, because that's an arm's length away. This one's become the biggest challenge I have. What I look at, what I don't look at, what's on my news feed, what I look at in social media, what YouTube videos I watch. Man, you might be shocked by how much time I can waste on YouTube. Like, I start watching something, before I know it, I'm on to the next video. And before I know it, the next video is on. And then before I know it, an hour has gone by. And I'm like, whoa, an hour? I ain't done nothing in an hour except watch these videos. Couldn't even tell you what some of them are. Like, some of them are so stupid. Like, sometimes the dumber the video, the more likely I'm going to watch it, because I'm just like, what's going on? And then I realize, hang on a second. This is literally my life I'm spending. Like, the seconds in my life and the minutes of my life are like a bank account. And I'm like writing the check by how much time I spend. The social media that I watch, like the accounts I follow on Instagram, the posts that they put up, the stories that I see. Oh my gosh, man, I don't know about you, but for me, the biggest challenge for me in that 3-foot rule isn't even human beings. It's human beings showing up electronically. And it's okay to unfollow people. You know what? It's also okay to unfollow people in real life. I want you to take stock, and I want you to look around and go, are these people helping me move forward? By the way, am I helping them move forward? This is a two-way street, man, two-way street. But if people aren't helping you to level up, if your friends aren't pushing you forward, go find some new friends. Now, that's a delicate thing. And that's a really good one to talk to your parents about. You ought to grab your parents or an adult or someone that you trust and go, you know what? Hey, I'm struggling with this. I got 2 friends or 3 friends. I mean, here's the other thing too, right? Let me just give you this news flash for the rest of your life. None of us have a bunch of friends. So if you're 14 or 16 and you're like, man, I only got a couple friends. I'm 40. I've only got a couple of friends. I know a lot of people. You probably know a lot of people. But most of us can count the really, really good friends on one hand. Like the ones that we'd really call, man, when we're really in trouble. Like, if I'm really facing a problem, I don't have 50 people to call. Are you kidding me? I got a couple if I'm lucky. So don't be upset with yourself if you look down, you're like, man, I only got these 2 good friends. Well, you know what? Make your 2 good friends last, and make your 2 good friends the right ones. I don't think you're going to look down at 30 or 20 and go, I've got 100 great friends. Who's got time for that anyway? So don't be upset with yourself around that. But if they're not leveling you up, then maybe you need to level up the friends you've got. And I know that's delicate. That was a point that I was making a minute ago. Grab your parents or an adult or someone you trust. And if you've got no one to ask, send me a message. If you got nobody else to ask, then you ask me. I'll help you. Send me an email, codygibson@kw.com. You can find me on Instagram, Cody Gibson 1 at the end, like just the numeral 1. Send me a message. If you've got no one to talk to, I'll do it. But grab somebody you care about and say, listen, I got these 3 friends and 2 of them are dragging me down. What do I do? How do I unwind the friendship? Have somebody help you with this, like someone who's got a little bit more life experience. I do it now. You know what's weird is that when I was 15 and 14, I didn't always want to go to somebody with more life experience. The older I've gotten, the faster I go to somebody with more life experience. Like, just the more I know, the more I realize I don't know very much. The more I learn, the more I realize how much I have to learn. So you control your environment with those friends. All right. For you, physical space, you've got your bedroom, you've got your bathroom, wherever it is that you get ready. You've got your car, if you're at the driving age. You've got your locker at school, if you have lockers at school that you're using right now. Some schools are and some aren't. Your workspace, whether it's your desk at school, your homeroom at school, your desk station at home where you do homework, whatever it is that's appropriate for you, and you've got your phone. Those are the physical ones that you have every single day. The way those are set up and the way those work matter more than you think. And I'll give you a couple of hacks, a couple of tips. Number 1, notes everywhere. Promise you, notes everywhere. You might look silly until you're the richest person you know. You might look silly until you're helping more people than anybody else you've ever heard of in your life helping people. You might look silly until you're living a life so big that people are asking you, how'd you get there? And all of a sudden, the notes aren't silly anymore. So just deal with it. I don't know a faster way through this. If you walk through my house, you'd see Post-it notes everywhere. You'd see sheets of paper everywhere with goals, dreams, ideas. Like that's what I want around me. Put them in your bathroom, put them on the mirror. Like I've got, you get my point. Your car, the locker, whatever's appropriate, your workspace. But your phone is probably the biggest. Because if you're anything like me, you look at that thing all the time. If you're anything like me, you don't miss much there. Like if I tell you I didn't see your message, that's probably not the truth, because there's not much I miss. And I'm going to guess that there's not much that you miss either. Like, let's just be real about it, right? Like we don't miss it. We know. So don't lie to people. I do it too sometimes. Just don't do it. But on your phone. So on your home screen, instead of having maybe a picture, or instead of having something silly, put something that matters on there. Like I would push you, if you want to take me up on this, change your home screen once a day for the next 30 days with a goal that you have. Maybe it's a car you want to drive, a place you want to visit, a friendship that you want to nurture, something you want to achieve, a stack of money. It doesn't matter. A homeless shelter you want to build, a church you want to have. It doesn't matter. But every day, if you change that home screen or that lock screen photo every day for a goal that you have, you're going to level up. You're going to level up in a month. The thing is, if you do these things now, you have more time to make them bigger. You have more time to amplify them. You have more time to actually achieve them. You could write them. And so I'll write them and take a picture of them. I like my own handwriting. So even if I see something like a meme that really encourages me, I will rewrite it in my handwriting, because my handwriting is what my brain sees faster. And so for me, that's a little hack for my self-motivation. I could see a great meme, but I'll write it myself so that it's mine. Plus, if I write it, just like if you do, right? Like if I tell you a phone number, you might remember it. But if you write the phone number down, better chance of you remembering it. So for me, it's helping me to memorize it or commit it to memory. Your phone's a big one on that. When you think about your environment, I want you to think about your strengths. And this one, I need you to pay attention just for a moment. I'm going to say level 10 and level 1. There's some things that you are naturally, 10 being great, 1 being terrible. There are some things that you are naturally a 7 at. There are some things that you are naturally a 6 or an 8 at. I don't think there's anything in my life that I'm naturally a 10 at, because 10 means I can't get any better. So for me, like a level 10 doesn't happen anywhere. Even if I'm the best person at it that I know, I'm still a 9 or an 8, because I refuse to think I can't improve. If I can't improve, I'm not interested anymore. If I can't get better, I don't want to do it anymore. I don't know about you, but I just don't. I lose interest. And there's probably some things that you're a 1 or 2 at. Naturally, there's some things I'm a 1 or a 2 at. There's some things that just naturally, I'm not good at it. I'm not gifted at it. It's not my strength. That's not what I'm good at. In school, and I don't even think it's wrong. I don't know if it's wrong or not, but in school, your teachers will usually push you to focus on the things you're not very good at, the things that you're a 1 or a 2 or a 3. And I don't think it's wrong. So don't mistake what I'm saying here. But in life, I want you to focus on the things that you're a 6 or a 7 or an 8 at. Because if you put effort into something that you're a 6 at, you can go up a couple levels and you can be an 8 or a 9. You can be world class. But if you're a 1 at it and you put a whole lot of effort, you might level up to a 3. Like take jumping, for example. I'm not a really good jumper, and I naturally can't jump very high. But if I worked really hard and I gave it a whole lot of time, I'd probably jump higher than I do today. But I would never become an amazing jumper. Amazing jumpers are people who are naturally pretty good at jumping, and they put a ton of work at it, and that's what makes them world class. So the things that you're a 6 or a 7 or an 8 at naturally, like they just come natural to you. Like you hop on a snowboard and you're just pretty darn good. Well, you could probably become a world-class snowboarder. You grab a tennis racket and you are horrible. You might never become a professional tennis player, but you might put a lot of effort into it and become a mediocre tennis player. This is where having people in your life who only care about your best interest matters. Ask your parents. Your parents are going to know. Be like, listen, Mom, shoot me straight. Tell me the truth on this. Am I naturally inclined to do this? Like, is this in my strength zone? Like the most amazing singers out there, I'm not a good singer. Like when I go to sing to my daughters, they put their finger over my mouth and go, shh. Dad, don't sing. Like, I'm terrible at singing. But you know what? I could probably take some singing lessons, and I could probably go and I could pay someone to help me, and I could probably become a mediocre singer. But I'm never going to make money or change the world with my songs. You get my point? But I'm a good speaker. So while I can't sing, I can speak. And so I could use my voice there. Does that make sense? So it doesn't mean that I feel bad that, hey, I'm probably a level 2 singer. I'm probably a level 1 singer. You couldn't get much worse than me. And so I don't put any effort into it. Because if I worked my tail off, I might be a level 4. But you know what? I'm probably naturally a level 6 speaker. I'm probably naturally a level 6 communicator. And so that I can put effort into, and maybe someday I can become an 8, or maybe someday I could become a 9. And that I can make money with, and that I can help people with, and that I can make a difference with. If I was singing, you would have tuned out a long time ago. You wouldn't have watched, unless it was just to make fun of me or to laugh, right? Those are the YouTube videos I end up watching. But you get my point. So part of environment is making sure you're doing things that you're disposed or predisposed to be good at. Now, this is where, again, at 40, I have a lot of self-awareness around this. At 14, I didn't. So you need someone along for the ride. You need someone that you can ask and go, listen, tell me the truth. Tell me the truth. Like, am I good at this? Is this something I should put more time into or not? All right, next, books and reading. Books have gotten a bad rap. Like, people just don't read books anymore as much. And I want you to go back to reading books. I'm going to give you a hack though, and you have to write this down. Here's how you read books faster. Like I don't mean novels. I don't mean stories. Like the self-help type books, the self-awareness type books, business books, mindset books, thought books, blah, 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 blah. Here's an easy way to read them faster. And I think you're going to like it. You have to write this down. So I'll give you a second. You read the whole first chapter. Then you read the first page or two of every chapter. Then you read the entire last chapter. So entire first chapter, page or two of every chapter, entire last chapter. Most business books, even if they're 300 or 400 pages, you're going to end up spending about 20 pages in each chapter. So that's maybe 40. There's usually 10 to 15 chapters. So you got 15 pages. You're going to get the idea of a 400-page book in about 50 or 40 pages, sometimes even less. Then when you're done, you go to YouTube and you type in the name of the book followed by report. So you'll type in blah, blah, blah book report. The very first thing that pops up, or the second thing, is usually going to be somebody who's read that book 10 times. And they're going to explain to you in 6 or 8 minutes, that's the average, in 6 or 8 minutes, they're going to give you the Cliff Notes version. They're going to stand there and explain the book to you, the idea of it. Here's the beauty of it. Whole first chapter, whole last chapter, page or two of every chapter, you're going to get the pretty good idea of it. Then you watch the video. You can't do the video first. Then you watch the video. And you go, oh, and all of a sudden everything begins to make sense. You're like, okay, now I get it. Here's what I've learned. I used to struggle with books because I would read like 4 or 5 pages and I would get lost. I'd read 4 or 5 pages, I'd lose interest. Even if I loved the book, I'd read 5 pages a day. That's been a rule of mine for years. Read 5 pages a day. So it's great. But I read 5 pages. You know how long it takes to read a book that's 400 pages, 5 pages a day? It's a lot of days. It's like 100 days. Like, it's ridiculous. Takes too long. And I read 3 books a year or 4 books a year. It's not enough information. I need more information than that. Doing it my way, you can read a book in about an hour. Then you watch the 6-page or the 6-minute video. I'm about an hour deep and I get the gist of the book. If I spent 4 months reading that dumb thing, I'm going to forget half of it while I'm reading it. If I do it in an hour, I'm going to catch 70% of the material. Does that make sense? Trust me on this one. This one's going to work for you. It works for everybody. I've tried speed reading. I've tried photo reading. I've tried all the hacks. And if they work for you, then go do one. That's fine. Like, I don't have the only good answer, but this is an answer that's worked for me and it's worked for everybody I've taught it to. Social media. Here's what I want you to think about social media. Social media is like a book, and you wouldn't pick up a book that was going to hurt you, but you could. You'd pick up a book that was going to help you. When you look at social media, think of it like that. Be careful what you watch. Be careful what you see. I'm not saying you shouldn't look. I'm not saying it shouldn't be interesting. I'm not saying it shouldn't be entertaining. I look at things like that too. Like I've got some accounts that I follow that they don't post a bunch of amazing, world-class, motivational stuff. I just like some of them because they're funny. Like they're just dumb memes and they're just funny. Like I'm a human being. So I follow some stuff that is dumb. I follow some stuff that probably is not forwarding my life anywhere. So what? But I am real careful about making sure I have enough good stuff in there. I'm not a robot. And I think that's where people get sideways. They get off track because they think they have to be a robot about things. All right, speaking about being robotic, we've got to end in a few minutes. Your body matters. The sleep that you get matters. Even at 14, 13, 19, 22, man, sleep matters. Sleep matters. What also matters is rest. If you're not sleeping, just rest. That's like when you can't sleep and just laying down, not doing anything, you feel more rested. By the way, not doing anything doesn't mean watching TV. Not doing anything doesn't mean looking at your phone. I don't know about you, maybe you're different than me, but if I'm resting and I grab my phone, I'm not resting anymore. If I'm resting and I grab my phone and I lay in bed for 30 minutes, I am more tired than when I began. So I've got to be careful with that. One of the hacks I do is I'll set a little alarm and I'll be like, all right, Cody, you got 10 minutes to look at whatever you want. You got 10 minutes just to waste on your phone. But then when the alarm goes off, I got to stop. And that just catches me because I'm not going to tell myself no wasted time on my phone, no stupid YouTube videos. You know what? I like stupid YouTube videos. Back off. I like them. But I like them in moderation. I like them in a point where they're not going to overtake my life. But I can't trust myself because when I start watching, I'm an hour deep, I'm 2 hours deep, and I'm like, what am I doing? So I just set a little alarm. Like these are just little things to control my environment. Whatever you drink in water right now, I want you to double it or triple it every day. This is just simple. Like this is easy. When people hire me to coach them, and I don't really do any one-on-one coaching, but when I did, I would have them drinking a gallon of water a day. Sometimes 2 gallons if we can get to 2 gallons. But trust me, and there's lots of thought around. Some of you might go to your parents like, I'm going to drink a gallon of water a day. And they go, you don't need to. I'm not here to argue with anybody. What I know is this: your body probably needs more water than you put into it. Drink so much water till you can't drink any more water. And then what you'll learn is you'll learn that your body actually craves more water. It's the one thing you can put in your body that's going to help everything. It'll help your skin look better. It'll help you look better. It'll help you feel better. It'll help the rest that you have be better for your body, be better for your brain. There's literally nothing that water is going to hurt you with. I suppose you could drink, I mean, I don't know. I suppose at some level, I haven't found a time that I drank too much water. So whatever is it you're drinking, just double or triple it. An easy way to do it is everywhere you go, you have a water bottle. As dumb as that sounds, everywhere you go, you're sipping on water. You just always have water next to you. That doesn't mean that you can't have soda. Doesn't mean you can't have Coke. Doesn't mean you can't have juice or all this other stuff. Like I drink coffee cup after cup after cup, lots and lots of coffee. I also like Red Bull. I also like some energy drinks. There's some that I don't like. There's lots of things I put in my body. People are like, I had no idea you drink that. I'm like, yeah, I'm a human being. Of course I drink that. But I also drink a gallon and a half of water every day. And so I constantly am always flushing things. Trust me on this. You're going to get better grades. You're going to look better. You're going to feel better. You're going to perform better at everything you do. Water is your friend. Drink more water. Pound it. Before you go to bed at night, drink 2 glasses of water. Wake up in the morning, drink 2 glasses of water. Just habit. By the way, you do those things now when you're young, you won't be playing catch up when you're 25 and 30. Everybody who's 25 and 30 will be catching up to you. Totally different. Food matters. Here's the thing about food when it comes to your environment. Here's the easy rule about food. You're going to eat some garbage. You just are. You're going to eat some stuff you probably shouldn't eat. So what? Welcome to Earth. I eat stuff I shouldn't eat too. But an easy rule of thumb is the 90-10 rule. There's lots of diets out there. I got friends that do keto. I got friends who do Atkins. I got friends who do high protein. I got friends that do whole food. I got friends that do vegan, blah, blah, blah. Caveman diet, you name it. Paleo, you got it, right? All of it. I don't know that I agree with any of it. And I don't know that I disagree with any of it. It's not my place. Here's what I do know. For me, if 90% of the food I put in my body is good food for me, it doesn't really matter what the 10% is. I can eat chocolate cake. I can have pizza. I can do whatever I want to do if it stays in the 10% realm. The minute that it's 30% or 50%, I feel bad. I'm sluggish. I gain too much weight. I don't look the way I look. I want to look. My skin breaks out. Like, it's all horrible. Like, there's nothing good that comes from eating bad. The problem is, the more bad that I'm eating, and I don't know if your life looks like this, but the worse I'm eating, the more I crave those foods. The more, I'll just pick on McDonald's for a second. The more I eat McDonald's type food, which I know isn't good for me, but I kind of like the taste. Like, the more I eat it, the more of it I want. The less I eat it, I'll have a bite or two of a burger and be like, oh, that's so good. I'll get halfway through and be like, this is gross. But if I had a burger every day, I'd want two every day. That's how water works, by the way. If you're not used to drinking a lot of water, you're like, oh my gosh, this is so much water, Cody. And then after a month, you're like, hey, drinking a gallon a day is no big deal. I go to the bathroom all the time, but it's no big deal. I look good. I got lots of energy. I feel good, perform better. My grades went up. Trust me. You drink more water, everything in your life gets better. So follow the 90-10 rule on the food. Just give it your best shot. And what I've learned is that's better for me than restricting myself too much. That's better for me than saying, I will never eat pizza. I will never eat bad food for me. I will not eat candy. Are you kidding me? I like that stuff, but I like it in the 10% range. 90% is stuff that I think about fuel. If you begin to think about food like fuel, and you begin to think that you're a vehicle, and you go, all right, I want to be a Ferrari. Well, you know what? You're not going to put water in the gas tank. You're going to put high octane, good fuel. You're going to put the expensive stuff in there. You're not going to put garbage in there and hope that it runs. You're not going to put kerosene in there or propane. You're going to put good gas in there. You're going to expect it. Well, your body looks the same. And I don't know what your home life looks like. I don't know what food looks like for you, but I do know that you can make good choices. And just like me, I'll bet there's something you can make a better choice on. The last thing I'll say about food is portion. Eat less than you think you need to. An easy rule of thumb, and this is just controlling my environment. An easy rule of thumb for me is I never clean my plate. And I know that some parents are like, clean your plate. Like, I understand that. But within reason, like, have a conversation with your parents about it. If you've got one of those parents that are like, clean your plate, like if they were raised in the Midwest, or clean your plate, like that's going to be common for them, right? Have a conversation beforehand. Just be open and honest. But an easy rule of thumb for me is, if I'm eating French fries, and I love French fries, if I'm eating French fries, I never eat the last couple fries, even if I want them really bad. I'll send it back. If I'm eating a burger, I don't eat a lot of burgers, but I like them. I won't eat the whole burger. Leave a little bit, just never clean your plate. Eat less than you think you need to. Another easy hack is I'll drink a glass of water before I eat, and that will help me feel more full. I don't know about you, but I find myself eating when I'm not even hungry. I get bored and I start eating. I'm like, what am I doing? Like, I'm not even hungry. I'm just eating. But this is an easy way to control your environment. Think about the 90-10 rule. All right. Remember, bad habits are like putting water in the gas tank of a high performance vehicle. Here's your takeaways today. And we'll end in 60 seconds. Number one, create a habit around notes, whether that's on your phone, physically, like whatever works for you. Have a habit around notes, because they're always talking to you. And I like your handwriting. I know you could type it, but I like your handwriting. And I think that your brain does too, because it shows you did it. Number two, a reading habit. You could buy the books. I think you ought to get your parents to buy them. I think you ought to go to your parents and say, hey, how many self-help books will you buy for me? I'll bet they'll buy them all. If you say, listen, you know what? I'll trade you a book report for $25, but most of your parents would pay you for a book report. Try it. Trust me on this. Maybe it's $5, maybe it's $50, whatever's appropriate at home. I'll bet they'll pay you. I'll bet you can make money at this. Your first business could be earning money from your parents for reading books that make your life better. Give that a thought for a second. Next, social media habits. My habit for social media is that it has to be one for one. Like, I did it this morning. I was looking at like my news feed or my social feed, right? And this page popped up, and it's just a bunch of funny stuff. And it's like, it's not going to forward my life. It's not going to help me, but it's funny. It's entertaining. I like it. Well, so do you. Like, welcome to the club. I followed it, and then I went, hang on a second. And I immediately went and found something positive, like something that had positive affirmations, something that was like talking about how to get better at life, how to get better at work, how to get better at home, like that kind of thing. And I went and followed that one. That's my 1-for-1 rule. Because the problem is once you follow it, it starts showing up, right? And then the type of stuff you look at, more stuff like it shows up. Your phone is no different than your brain. Your phone doesn't care if it helps you or hurts you. What you put into it, it's going to put more back in front of you. So whatever you follow, it's going to give you more of it. Like that's how internet marketing works, which if we have time, we'll talk about that in the next session. It's a great business tool, but for you, it's going to hurt you if you're not careful. And so if I follow something that probably won't help me, I just follow something that will. That's an easy rule of thumb. And you know what? If you do that, I don't think it matters what you follow. Because every time you follow something that's just dumb or entertaining or silly, and you follow something good and strong and positive, you're always going to have plenty of both. And you know what? I think you can live life just fine with that. All right, next, self-care habits. Like your habit around sleep, your habit around food, your habit around water, and whatever it is that you do, the easiest one to do first is the water. Better sleep or more sleep isn't easy for most of us. Changing our food intake isn't easy for most of us. Changing our exercise routines isn't easy for most of us. Drinking more water, easy peasy. Get a gallon of water, fill it up, or a gallon jug, fill it up, and tell yourself, I'm not going to bed tonight until that thing's empty. Pretty easy. And you drink it till it's empty. You'll go to the bathroom a lot, but you'll live a better life. Promise you on this one. Put it to the test. All right, the 3-foot rule. That's the last one. Be careful what you allow in that 3-foot perimeter, including social media, including what you watch on TV. All right, we're going to do session number 6 next Thursday. It works in my calendar. It's been fun to keep the same Thursdays, except for that one week. So next Thursday, same time, 5 o'clock Pacific time. Only this one is going to be pretty different than the rest. This one is how to make money. So this one is how do you make money right now? I'm going to teach you some ways to make money even at 13 years old, 16 years old, 21 years old. I'm going to teach you some ways to be an entrepreneur right now and make money, both physically and conceptually. I'm going to teach you some creative ways. I'm going to teach you some ideas. I'm going to teach you some hacks around doing it. So I hope you can make it. So you have to register again because we just register for all of them. CodyGibson.com is easy. Be the same time, 5 o'clock Pacific next Thursday. That's been 60 minutes. I went about 15 minutes more than I wanted to. I hope you enjoyed today. These have been my pleasure. So thank you so much. They mean the world to me. Episode 6 will drop next week. It'll be live. And that's all about making money right now and creative ways to make money. I'm going to give you some ideas that you might take exactly the way I give them to you, but I don't care about that. I'm going to give you some ideas that you go, wait, that gave me a great idea. That's what I'm really after. I'm not looking to give you a step-by-step playbook. I'm looking to give you ideas and you go, oh, I can follow it, but what if it creates this for me? Trust me, this is how entrepreneurs think. All right, guys, thank you so much for being here. I hope it's been a great session for you. Have an incredible weekend. Be kinder than you need to and help someone you don't have to. Follow these habits. Have a great day.